Shalom. We are continuing Perek Chavtes, and in the preceding chapter we had learned about Shaul's fateful visit to the Balas Ov, who brought up the neshama of Shmuel Hanavi, who had died, and now we shift back to the Philistine camp that is planning a great war against the Jewish people. Vayikbetzu Pelishtim es kol machaneim afeka. They moved from Shunem to Afeka, to Afek, another city. The Yisrael chonim ba'ayin asher b'Yisrael. And the Jewish army is encamped next to the spring in the valley of Yisrael. Again, it's in the center of the country, near Mount Gilboa. V'sarnei Pelishtim. And the generals of the Pelishtim, Ovrim Lemeyot V'Lalofim, they are leading groups of armies in the hundreds and the thousands. V'David v'Anashav Ovrim b'Yacharona im Achish. And David and his people, 600 people, they are together with Achish. Remember, Achish is so convinced of the loyalty of David that he actually says David should be with the king himself. But of course, David obviously does not want to fight against the Jewish people, but David doesn't know what to do. But we're going to see that he was saved by other Pelishtim. Because when Pelishtim saw David with the king, they said to the king, "How can you allow this?" Vayomru Sari Pelishtim, the Sari Pelishtim said to Achish, the king of Gas, the king of the Philistines, Maha Ivrim Ha'ela, what are these Ivrim, what are these Hebrews doing in our army? I mean, we're fighting their nation. How can you trust them? Vayomer Achish el Sari Pelishtim. So Achish said to the officers of the Pelishtim, "Hello, said David. This is our friend David, Eved Shaul Melech." He had been a slave or a servant of Shaul Melech Yisrael. Asher haya iti zeh yamim ozeh shanim. It's as if he was with us for many years. Now again, he was only there for 4 months, but Rashi explains, I know him, I have a friendship with him, as if I've known him for many years. Lo matzasi bo mu'uma. I have never seen any disloyalty in him. Miyom naflo, from the day that he fell into our hands. Ad hayom hazeh. I can trust him. He's loyal. Vayiktzefu alav Sarei Pelishtim. But the Sarei Pelishtim were angry. Vayimru lo Sarei Pelishtim hashev es ha'ish v'yashov el makomo. Okay, let him live among us, but don't let him fight in the army against the Jewish people, because he'll turn against us. Send that man back to his own city, the city where he was living. And remember, that was Siklag, which was a Philistine city that was given to David. Do not let him fight with us in war. Because he will become an adversary against us in milchama. How will he curry favor with his master Shaul? It will be with our heads. How can you let David fight in your army against the Jewish people? Don't you remember, Achish? You have such a short-term bad memory. Halo said David asher yanrolo b'mecholos. This is the famous David that the women used to sing in their dancing. Lamor Hika Shaul bi'alaf of Shaul has smitten thousands of Philistines. David beriva vaisav, and David has smitten tens of thousands. That's the guy you want in your army? So even a king has to listen to his officers. So David gets sent away from the front. David does not have to fight. Fellow Yidden. Vayikra Achish el David, and Achish calls David, Vayomer Elav Chai Hashem, I swear by Hashem ki yashar ata, you are upright in my eyes. V'tov b'einai, God forbid, I'm not accusing you of anything. Tov b'einai tseischa v'achaiti, it is perfectly fine for me that you go out and come back together with me b'machana. Ki lo motzasi b'cha ra, I have never seen anything bad in you. Miyom boacha elai, from the day that you came to me, ad hayom hazeh, till today. The only problem is, u'b'einei hasranim lo tovata, in the eyes of the officers, they don't trust you. So Nebuch, what can I do? V'yata shuv v'lech b'shalom. Go back to Tziklag, take your men and leave the army. V'lo taseh ra b'einei sarnei Pelishtim. So you shouldn't do anything bad that the officers of the Pelishtim don't like. So Achish is very apologetic. Achish thinks he's hurting David, he's insulting David, he's casting aspersions on David. But David is thinking in his mind, Baruch Hashem, I'm out of a very difficult situation. So David kind of protests, kind of a make-believe protest. Vayomer David al Achish, David says to Achish, Ki me'al sisi, what have I done wrong? What have you ever found in me that's negative? Ki that you don't let me fight against the king's enemies, the Jewish people. Vayan Achish, Vayomer el David, Yadati ki toivata b'einai kamalach Elokim. You are as good in my eyes as an angel of God. I trust you, I love you, I have faith in you. Ach, sorei Pelishtim amru lo yala imanu b'milchama. What can I do? The officers and the generals say, I'm not allowed to let you go to war. V'yata, and now, Hashkem baboker, wait until the morning. V'avdi adonecha shebo, together with the servants of your master, Shaul, that have come with you, 600 people. V'ishkamtem baboker v'orlechem bolecho, and then leave the military camp in the morning, go back to Tziklag. V'yashkem David hu v'yanashav lachas baboker, they get up the next morning to leave. Lo shavu l'eretz Pelishtim, to return. Remember, they're still in Philistine territory, but they're no longer part of the military battle. So this is a great relief for David. U'Plishtim olu Yisrael. But David may have been rescued from his particular predicament. But we now have this war. The Plishtim are now going further into the Emek Yisrael, the Yisrael Valley, to wage war. Ad kan.